Welcome to the final session of our tea. Today we're going to talk about something that is really dear to my heart, teachers' health. It seems logical that we cannot teach well if we are not considering the teacher's health. But how many approaches in the home and in the classroom take teachers' health into consideration? Not as a problem to get around, but something that has intrinsic importance. I know for me it has been such a blessing that within the Enki approach, teacher health sits right up there alongside child development and multiculturalism and so on in our planning and in our day-to-day implementation with the children. So let us now join the homeschoolers as we hear about how they have worked with teacher health in their homes.
I think that there's so much in Enki that is nourishing, but the biggest piece for me, I think, is teacher health. And I go back to that all the time, and I'm always writing about it on the boards because people seem to have such a hard time with it. But it's in the material so much that you need to worry about teacher health first. I mean, if you're disintegrated and jumbled and not in a good place, then your kids, and if you're teaching your children, obviously they're gonna feel that, and they're not gonna be in a good place.
I have been so thankful for attention to teacher health. Without it, I'd be flat on my back, I would say. There have been so many times where I have been faced with even my excitement around content we were going to bring or the possibilities of what we could work with in our home, and allowing the space for me to settle and ask questions around where in this is my teacher health served. I have certainly learned the places where I didn't pay attention to that, and we all felt it. And so to bring content to the children, any content, if I haven't first checked in with where am I, where is my well-being, it has fallen flat. It's fallen flat for the children, and it's at an expense to my health.
I think when I first got the Enki material and was reading through all of the teacher guides, I think it stressed it. I think the thing that spoke to me so much, because I saw it everywhere, was find yourself in a healthy spot, or work in a place that is good for you. And it says, and I can't remember quite the words, but it says it over and over and over again. And finally, all of a sudden, it clicked. Oh, yes, this will work very well for me.
I think a great example of this that I was reflecting on recently was when Joseph was at the end of his second grade year and then going into third grade. We had some major transition in our family that entailed 3 moves in the matter of a couple of months. And on one end of that, my children actually pointed this out to me recently, and one end of that, in the midst of moving from an apartment to a hotel and not having any stability of environment, I continued to do lesson. Joseph just told me the other day, he said, Mom, you went to Michael's and got Crayola crayons so that I could still draw my Gandhi picture from the sage. And for me, it was about teacher health. We were in the middle of a unit. I had a binder with my story, and we had our rhythm that supported our whole family's health, mine included. And so to continue with lesson within that, certainly I wasn't doing recorder or form or movement or all of that other stuff on top of it. I was focused in, though, on this part that supported my health and well-being as well as the children's. Fast forward a couple months, and that fall, it was time to start third grade, which would be the stepping into a shift in the approach, a much deeper cultural unit. I hadn't penetrated the stories like I wanted to. And so rather than jumping right in that fall with the Torah, which was the unit I had chosen I would do first, we did another SAGE unit for 2 months. And that supported my teacher health, so that when it was time to bring, or when we were ready to bring the Torah, I had the space and time to really penetrate it, know where I was going with it. And that supported the work we did. And
no, Amy, I think that I agree. The teacher health it's so something that it should be I feel like it should be, the air I breathe. Instead, it's on the checklist of things to do. Did I attend to teacher health? Did I get the laundry done? Did I, teach the times tables? And my husband's always, since the children were first born, he's always, he's quick with that, with the cliche of the airplane and the oxygen, and you got to put the oxygen on yourself first before you put it on your kids. And I'm always poo-pooing that. But in reality, there comes a time where his job commitments have him away from home from before we wake up in the morning until either we're sitting down to eat or we're already asleep by the time he gets home. And there's just no way I can keep up with everything. It's hard enough to, make the meals and clean the children, let alone do the math and the recorder. And so for my teacher health, I have to let the enrichment, it's not, I don't think of it as enrichment, so it's hard to let go of it, but I have to let that stuff go. And I have to focus on, like you said, that real core stuff that carries me, that rhythm to our day. And for us, it means stopping our school year at the beginning of May, because we don't see Dad for May at all, except for on Sundays. So 4 days for a whole month is all we see him. And there's no way that I'm taking that day to do any planning. I'm taking that day to, enjoy my family. So we just sort of say, okay, that's it. We're done. We'll pick it up. But to keep with my mental health, my teacher health during that month anyway, we still get up and go for a walk and come back and have a snack and sit and read a story. And, we're still following the ebb and flow of our day. But just like the ocean, and because I live near the ocean, I can really draw on that. The waves come in and they're always coming in and going back out, but sometimes they come in, faster and bigger waves, and sometimes they come slower. And that's sort of how our my attention to teacher health is. Sometimes I'm really on top of it, doing my yoga and doing all those big things that we think of as self-care. But sometimes it's just a matter of, knowing when to scale back and not do that stuff.
In the guides, it tells you have permission. And I know that no parent should need permission to do anything with their child, but it felt like it was saying you have permission to fall, as much as you need to, but 20% of the time, at least, you're going to fall, and it's okay. You can get back up. And the beauty is that you can show your kids how to get up gracefully when you do. And for me, I know that looks different for everybody, but I get crazy sometimes, and we have to get through this, and realizing, oh my God, did I really just blow up because it's on my schedule? Get over it. Sorry, kids. Let's go outside and run around a little bit first. We all need it, and that's okay. Take a day off when you need it. Take a breath when you need it. Let your child go and blow off some steam and then come back and be fine. Just allowing that peace, allowing yourself to fall ungracefully, miserably, horribly, and get back up and show them that you can do that, and allow them to do that as well. And it's okay. I felt like I had permission now, where before I was like, oh my God, I'm doing this wrong. This is awful. I shouldn't be doing this. And you beat yourself up, and then the same thing happens all over again. When I read that in the book, I was like, that was my aha moment. Yeah, I'm not perfect. Who needs to be perfect? What was I thinking? So I think for me that was my biggest obstacle to overcome, realizing that my intuition is right on most of the time, and when it's not, or when I'm imperfect, that I can still continue on. I don't have to wear a mask, and I could be me, and it's fine. And I don't have to our family doesn't have to be what mainstream society feels children should be, because that is not a healthy place for us to be.
Well, when I had my fall, huge, big fall, when that all shifted for me, one was that piece of one of the threads on the web of adult model. And again, in theory, I'd had that piece of, yeah, this is right. And who and how I show up as an adult is, such a powerful teacher for my children. And certainly in theory, didn't want to model that you have to do it perfect. It's not worth doing if you're not going to do it perfectly. For me, it was a process. I can't pinpoint and say this is what shifted that allowed me to let go of that and really, really live the piece of not only is it not possible to know it all, not only is it not possible to do it perfectly, I don't want to either. I want to learn in the midst of those places of unknown. I mean, how can I model for my children entering into something unknown when I'm not willing to do that unless I know it all? How can I model for them what it is to be a human being who falls sometimes, who doesn't get it just right? And how do we get up and dust the seat off and keep going?
We were all raised with a picture that there's this kind of finished box where it's all safe and we've got it right. And letting go of that and coming to a place where, the way I would put it is, we're constantly trying to set the children's compass to return to that place of integration. It's not that they stay there. It's not that we stay there. It's that we know where the compass is pointing. And our goal is to come back to that often enough that one day they can take it up as their own journey. Because they will. No matter what we do, it's up to them to take hold of their journey.
To work with that, I think I would follow the same approach that Kat just talked about, which is the recognition that that there are always going to be moments of all of us falling, normally all at the same time, or at least two of us at the same time, and that we're working through it together, and that we're learning and growing through it together. But yeah, that really helps me a lot. That might be my most nourishing thing, but it's hard to choose.
I always come back to that one of the most important things is, as a teacher, is being in a space where you can bring things to your children and be in a good spot.
All of you have pointed to the importance of being able to fall. Well, if we don't fall, how are we going to find the compass point? Mm-hmm. So I think it's not, we're going to fall and that's okay because we're human, but hey, that's really where the energy is. When we fall, we have the chance to look for where is that return. And as Amy said, what am I modeling about coming back? I said something to Ibra just today for the 900th time, because we're trying to make pine pitch out of some sap that he collected to repair his drum that he made last year. And we have sticky pine pitch all over the kitchen now. And I said something about, well, I really don't know how this works, but we'll see what happens. And he said, well, we always see what happens and we always find a way to make it work. So, and that's really what I want him to have, the sense that he can jump in and let it fall apart and be frustrated and come back and find his way.
And that brings our Homeschoolers Tea to a close. I hope you've enjoyed your time with us. There will be one more segment where I show you the materials so you have a chance to see what you would get in an Enki package. We hope you've enjoyed your time with us.